He describes his work as visual prayers. Canadian sculptor Timothy Schmalz has been creating large-scale pieces of art for 3 decades now. Many of these based on a spiritual theme, with several located in important places around the world, including St. Peter's Square. I had the chance to speak with him during a recent visit to our diocese. Timothy Schmalz has had a passion for sculpting since he was a teenager growing up west of Toronto, taking raw clay and forming it into something meaningful. He spoke at the monthly meeting of the Springfield Diocesan chapter of Legatus recently, telling members how important it is to him to devote his craft to glorifying God. Spending 10 to 12 hours a day in his studio, in 3 decades, he has not run out of subject matter.
There's so much in the Gospels that basically is yet to be sculpted, yet to be visually translated.
Most of his 3-dimensional works are cast in bronze, copies placed all over the world, such as Homeless Jesus, depicting Jesus as a homeless person sleeping on a park bench. His face and hands are obscured, hidden under a blanket, but crucifixion wounds on his feet reveal his identity.
I don't necessarily want to have it too clean looking, because Jesus here is represented as a homeless person, and so he's definitely not in a perfect blanket either.
Schmalz says that the secret to doing amazing artwork is having an amazing subject matter.
I was minding my own business downtown Toronto, one of the busiest cities in Canada, and I saw a homeless person, a person that was totally covered with a blanket, or I think it was a sleeping bag, and I just had this emotional impact. I just was almost slapped in the face by that vision, and I felt deep in my heart that I just saw something spiritual. That was Jesus I saw. I felt that.
His works vary in intensity, with a balance between the thought-provoking and the beautiful. Several years ago, Schmalz created this sculpture of the Holy Family that graces the sanctuary of St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield.
The sculpture that I created here years ago kind of is just a celebration of love, but every single line of the sculpture, the whole design of it is meant to be a piece that's very harmonious.
Visual translations, visual artwork is a very powerful teaching tool, Schmalz says. The Catholic Church has been doing this for centuries, using images like stained glass windows to teach people.
At that time, in our history, very few people were literate, and so they needed pictures to teach. But today I feel that people are, again, illiterate, not because they don't know how to read or write, but just they don't have time. So if I can actually show in a kind of a visual bite a gospel message that people can take with them, that's kind of a job well done for me.
In late September, Pope Francis unveiled Schmalz's Angels Unawares in St. Peter's Square. This life-size sculpture in bronze and clay depicts a group of immigrants and refugees from different cultural and racial backgrounds and from diverse historic periods in time. Schmalz was asked by the Vatican to create the sculpture. He says he envisioned a large raft or a boat and filled it with 140 different people from all historical time periods. The inspiration behind the work is taken from a biblical passage, Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares.
In the center of that boat is an angel, but you can only see the wings. So the wings all of a sudden kind of represent the spirituality of them all.
The presence of the sculpture in St. Peter's Square commemorates the 105th World Day of Migrants and Refugees.
What I'm doing is exactly what Pope Francis wants, doing something to create awareness. With a 20-foot bronze sculpture going in city centers, you're going to get people's attention.
And Schmalz is currently working on another Vatican request to design a sculpture to bring awareness to the plight of human trafficking entitled, Let the Oppressed Go Free.
So what I have is a sculpture of St. Paquita opening up the ground by a sewer grate and letting hundreds of victims of human trafficking free. It's just one of the most chilling sculptures. 20 feet, there's more than 100 life-size people that are escaping this modern-day slavery, coming out of the ground.
And this weekend, Schmalz is carving a nativity sculpture live in the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. As he is working, he will interact with guests describing his process and how the biblical texts shape his work. For more information on this and all of Schmalz's work, we have a link at iobserve.org.